Welcome back to A Bro's Guide to Glitter. This is the third episode of a series that I am calling Fashionista Fall, and today we will be discussing fashion design. My guest today will be discussing his own designs, inspirations, and the gender balance within the designer world. My guest today is both a Renaissance man and an enigma. He is British and Italian and has lived in both places. He's a musician, designer, and actor. We met this spring at NYU in Stone Street, the screen acting studio. He's the cool but sardonic guy who works as hard as he parties. Please meet Leandro McPhee.
Hello, thank you for the lovely introduction.
Of
Um,
course, of course.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on.
I like sardonic. I think that's a good description for me. That's a first, but apt, I think.
I figured I had to, capture both the comical but also the cynical.
It was good. Yeah, no, very accurate, I think.
So you're also a musician and an actor. Could you tell the listeners about your work in both of those?
Sure. I've been acting since I can remember, and I think singing at the same time. It started off, I think, more so as a hobby, if anything. Just at school in England, I loved playing sports and stuff growing up, but at some point, everyone just grew a little bit taller and bigger than me. So I kind of snaked my way into acting, and then I found out that I really love singing, and then my dad had always played African music, like West African, like Manu Dibango and stuff like that. And my favorite part of the songs were always like the saxophone and stuff. So I started learning the saxophone, and then from there I got into jazz. Joined a jazz band like super young, played at some bars and stuff, and people were like, "Who the hell is this guy?" Who's like this kid playing jazz. I don't know. And since then, I've just kind of been obsessed with music, and similar thing happened with acting. Yeah, I don't know. It was like every second I wasn't doing anything else, I was rehearsing for something. Um, I think it's just kind of always been that way, and so I don't see a reason to change it. I don't know. It just kind of like makes me happy. So that's what we're doing, you know?
Yeah, I didn't know you were in a jazz band. That's really cool to hear.
Oh yeah. It was fun. That's where I was trained musically, mainly in jazz. I remember I had this singing teacher called Dan. Awesome, tall guy, bald. Haven't thought about him in a really long time. And then I had this piano teacher called Tim. He was awesome, so cool. And then he taught me the mandolin and the sax as well. And I don't know, just being in the jazz band was so much fun because it, like, I don't know, like that sort of encapsulated everything that I love about, I guess, what we're going to talk about today, like be it music, acting, or fashion. Is I don't know. I'm all about the play. I really like playing. Um, like that will lead to something concrete and it makes me feel fulfilled, which is an impossible task. But I don't know. Big fan of playing around, and I think jazz, like once you like understand how it works, then you have like this total freedom, and it's so good. Anyway, I don't know how I got here, but sure.
That makes total sense to me, though. The idea that improvisation and the combination of different types of music and instruments that don't like the mandolin and the saxophone, they're two very different things. But like the way you combine all those and just like experiment, that makes sense then going and thinking about the other work you do.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I kind of have always like, I mean, I'm just super curious, I think, about kind of everything I've started to realize. Recently I've been like super curious about like life, I guess, in general.
Mhm.
But I think on some like retrospective action, like looking back at my life and looking or my life so far, I'm super young, but looking back and stuff, I've just been like, I don't know, like I should have just sat there and played the saxophone for 7 years and mastered that, but I saw a mandolin and wanted to learn how to play it. And then after that, I saw a guitar and then a bass. And I don't know, like I'm always wanting to play. I don't know. Like it's the only way I kind of can describe it, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So that leads into my next question, which was, how did your time in theater and music affect your work in fashion?
Hmm. Great question. I remember distinctly. I think it was maybe the first play that I was like kind of conscious of, like I'm in this first play and I have a huge role. Was I played Ariel in the Tempest when I was like 9.
Ooh.
Um, and learning the lines and all that shit sucked, and it was just like brutal. But I remember the costume, and I remember like what they did to my hair, and I remember the makeup they did to me. I had really long hair back then, but somehow they backcombed it all, so it was like out to here, and then I had this like really dark purple eyeshadow that like bled down my face, and they like put water droplets so it went down my chin and stuff. Like it like super like incredibly captured the essence of the character. So I guess like into fact, like how did I get into fashion design? I guess like my early memories is I guess through acting. Um, and then in music, like performing and stuff, I'd always think, oh, what should I wear for this song? Maybe like how do I look good? But I don't know. I knew I felt fucking good in that costume and with the crazy hair, and I was like, there's something here for sure. And then I don't know, kind of from there, like any kid does, I think I kind of started playing dress up more. I was like, this is fun. And I've always really loved performing. Um, yeah, and then I think it all kind of came together for the first time, like independently, where for whatever reason, my Italian family was visiting in England, and we had this fruit bowl that was kind of like really abstract and made out of mirrors. And at the time, I think at max 11 years old, but I was obsessed with Lady Gaga for whatever reason. And so I took that, I put it on my head, and then was like, oh shit, this looks like something I should be wearing. And I made a whole outfit, and then I came downstairs and I performed a song. Um, if I had to look back, I'm sure I would die from embarrassment. But I think that's like the first moment it kind of like all three independently came together. Like, and I did that by myself.
Yeah. That's really cool to hear. It's interesting how a lot of people's fashion journeys, I think in the mainstream, come from seeing a fashion model in a magazine or just figuring out how they dress themselves. But I think that in actors and performance, there is something really real that happens when you put on a costume for the first time. The idea that I'm a different person, I am fabulous, I am transformed. And even, the most famous fashion designers like Coco Chanel and stuff worked in making costumes for the ballet and opera. So, yeah, that's a really cool story you told.
Oh yeah, I mean, Piero Tosi, who's like the guy. I don't know if you've seen Il Gatto Pardo,
I have
or
not.
I guess it's called The Leopard. I mean, it's a pretty old Italian movie, super lengthy. The score is insane, but the costumes are even better. It's like old Italian Sicily, and they're wearing these crazy extra. Anyway, yes, all to agree with you, but they're wearing these crazily designed, extravagant, like royal outfits and dresses that are like gorgeous, and they're things that at the time like no regular people would actually wear, but it's like kind of walking the fine line between fashion design and I guess costume design.
Yeah.
I think they intermingle a lot more than people think.
Yeah. I'll
uh,
definitely have to look that one up.
mm, really good, highly recommend. um, Insane designer too. Honestly, the whole movie is nuts. um, really long though.
Fair, fair. So, I figured that now we play a word association game. So I'm going to put 15 seconds on the clock. And in those 15 seconds, you're going to think of any word and thought that just comes to your head, free association of what comes to your head when you think of fashion design.
thread, sewing machine, mannequin, needle, hat, painting, drawing, ruler, pencil, scissors, desk, spoon, uh, doubt, frustration, a lot of being really annoyed.
You got a lot in there. I think it
All
was
right.
interesting because you got all the obvious stuff with the sew, but the doubt, the frustration, that was very interesting to me. This is where we're seeing, the House of Gucci uh
Mm,
level of design drama come out in this interview.
uh, yeah. I don't know. It's less of yeah. I don't know. I think it's a bit of a life thing. Or not a life thing, an art thing for me.
Mhm.
I will very often start a project, be that sewing or a song or a script or something, and then really fall in love with it. And then 20 minutes later, hate it and just completely scrap it and just be super frustrated, annoyed, and feel completely defeated and feel like I've gone nowhere. But I will say that it's never going nowhere. I've always like used that to go somewhere, but that is a the intense frustration is so common in my creative process, which is unfortunate, but I think it is what it is. Name of the
Yeah,
game.
that's fair. And especially when you're the sole artist, creator of your
Mm,
stuff. I mean, even with this podcast, it's like, yeah, it's something I've created, but because it's something that I create with others, I don't necessarily feel like, it's all on me, or I'm
mm.
fully in charge. And then I also feel a sense of duty to like post my friends' interviews because I don't want, anything to be stuck on my computer's files just because I'm too lazy to comb through and edit it. But yeah, I can imagine when you're just making something by yourself, you're like, ooh, do I change this? Do I go back? What do other people think?
Yeah. For a really long time, the what do people think was huge for a while. Now it doesn't exist anymore. Um, that doesn't come up. I think I don't even so often now. I don't even get to the what do other people think stage.
That's good. That's good. Or maybe
Which
not good,
it's like it's
but
sometimes it's really good, and then sometimes it's like it sucks. Um, but I don't know. I think my whole career, I just create for myself now. Like I've been able to, at least at this point in my life, realize that creating like is what like makes me happy and like kind of what brings me a self sense of like fulfillment, especially after I finish something,
Mhm.
be it terrible or not. At least I did this and I can say I have this and I made it and take something from it. I don't really care about like um I don't really care. Like I don't care what other people think about it
Yeah.
yet. I don't think I'm ready for that. Uh,
Yeah.
I think it'd be too much. No, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not. That's not on my mind at the moment. It has been though, and then
Mhm.
it's just you don't. I completely stopped making anything because it was like, how can I possibly appease all these people, all these imaginary people in my head, not like
Yeah.
people in my head, but like people I was thinking of and what I thought their opinions would be. It was just impossible to do anything really. Um, that was like the strongest thing I've ever been able to let go of. Um, sorry, weird tangent.
Yeah. No, that
But
makes
yeah.
because the people, the voices in your head, as you say, the people who have opinions and what you hear about there out there, it all just, it's public opinion, but your creativity is your creativity. And it's the people who create for themselves, as you mentioned, who end up becoming the most original and really make a mark for themselves.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't necessarily make anything for myself to wear that
Mm.
often.
That was actually one of my other questions is, who do you design? You said you design for yourself, but like who do you imagine wearing your clothes?
Yeah. Uh, Most of my design. Okay. I get. Who do I imagine wearing my clothes? All right, I'll go down this thought then. Most of my design inspiration comes from like early Italian film,
Oh, I love that.
um, which is like, yeah, weird. Um, my favorite thing that I've ever made, which I do not have accessible right now, it's in there, but like at the bottom of the closet in a box. So unfortunately, I won't be bringing it out.
Fair,
But it's
fair.
just like it's a like a beautiful cloak that like one would wear like back in the day, or like I made this jacket that is like, the if you hold, like, I don't know, it's circular on the bottom and it's it's like elegant and it looks like some 1950s Italian duke would wear,
Yeah.
not as some sort of level of like elitist shit, but on some, I don't know, like real care and craftsmanship for the piece that just looks good to me.
Yeah.
And so, who do I design for? I guess those fantasies of that Italian time period. And then, kind of afterwards, hoping that someone will have the balls to fucking go outside looking like an Italian actress in the 1940s or something. I've yet to wear any of that stuff out.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that's
Mm.
the exact type of outfit that would be worn at, a red carpet or to the opera, especially if it's, crafted so delicately and
Mm.
is very fancy and upscale.
Yeah, it's definitely something, and I don't necessarily believe in what I'm about to say, but it's definitely something I wouldn't wear twice. Like I think it's one of those things that it's so like, I don't know, it makes a statement once and makes that statement whatever it is that you want to say, because I think that's like individual to the person
Hmm.
wearing the clothes. But it does that boom beauty once, and then I don't know. I love that about clothes, that you can just see something and be like, damn, that's gorgeous, and then never see it again and be like, where did that article of clothing go? That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And then those pieces of clothing end up in museums for like, this is what she wore at the Grammys one year. This is what he wore on this red carpet. So,
uh, One can dream. Um, yeah, yeah. I don't know. They're nice. I've thought, yeah, I don't know. I keep everything I make bad or good. I haven't thrown anything out yet. Um, Mainly just out of practicality. I like looking back and seeing mistakes and not repeating them. But I guess there's a little bit of that ego in there, maybe, that thinks, what if,
yeah.
you know?
I mean,
Um,
definitely if you get, 10 years down the road and
mm,
you're thinking of something, you're thinking of a design, and then you're like, oh man, I need this design. I made all the way back then to figure out something with the stitching, with the pattern, with the color, with the fabric. And then you realize, wait a minute, I threw it out. You're going to be so mad at yourself. So, yeah, I think it's
oh yeah,
important that you keep it.
I think so. It's taking up too much space though, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Definitely in the
It,
small New York closets.
dude, dude, don't even. Let's not even go there. This thing is packed. Um, yeah, it's nice. It's also nice looking like having a. I think also this is why I prefer film to theater. Bring that up, and this is why I really like recording kind of everything that I try and make and saving it, and then not throwing away anything that I try and make, even if it's terrible.
Hmm.
Being able to have for me personally, being able to have like a physical image and like actual, like being able to see the path that I've taken and like see the progress is incredibly helpful when it comes to both motivation and like, I guess, self gratification or self Like if I ever, for whatever reason, feel like unworthy of myself or like weird self-worth things pop up, I like look back, look how far I've come. You learned all of this pretty much by yourself. Like, congratulations. And then I don't know, it's useful.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, it can be very useful.
Have you ever considered actually going to like a theater company or film production and saying, "Hey, I can design for you"? Because if you have such an interest in like old Italian movies, I wonder if there are some, I mean, my thought was House of Gucci. I wonder if there are some filmmakers or artists out there who are trying to exactly recreate that and they are looking for their specialist.
Mm. I think I actually thought about that for the first time. Well, since graduating college, there's been you know, the idea of what do I do, you
Yeah.
know, like because you have the whole idea of oh after college I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, whatever. But really, it's like what do I do? And I'm someone who, at least at the moment, I'm not sure if I'm indecisive. I don't think that's what it is. But I
Mhm.
like to do a lot of different things. I don't like to feel trapped as if I have to do one thing. So recently I've been thinking about all my options, and yes, actually that has come up. But I haven't committed to it yet. Nor do I think I could,
Mm.
because I think number one, if I were to do something like that, it would be in a couple of years because I still have so much left to learn to be at that level where I can design that well and consistently for an entire production.
Fair, fair.
I don't think I'm ready for that. That may just be insecurity, but I don't think I would want to feel absolutely confident that I can do this to be able to do it, first of all. And then secondly, I don't know. It's like I feel like that's a big commitment, you know? I feel like that's a serious career path that people spend their entire lives doing and like spend years and decades of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And I don't know necessarily if that's exactly what I want to do. I do want to do it though, for sure. Like I'm writing a screenplay, and the idea is to not put it out, but to make it and do absolutely everything myself just to see if I can.
Mm.
Um, including the costume design and the score. And I don't really want to act in it, but I have to. I probably will. Anyway, I don't know how we got here, but yeah.
That does sound really cool. I would be interested in, reading it when it's finished.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, I will need a lot of constructive criticism and feedback for sure because it's hard. It's hard. Like watching my
Yeah,
peers do it, I know it's hard, and doing it, I know it's hard. So yeah, collaborators, friends, people I trust to read this stuff over, I'm definitely going to be doing that. Um, yeah.
yeah. So you design all this very fancy old Italian Hollywood clothing, or maybe not Hollywood, but Italian film. I meant to say old Hollywood and then I went to say Italian. So you design all this ritzy stuff. But you don't that's not your regular everyday fashion. I mean, how many people can wear old cloaks every day? So, would you like to describe your personal fashion style throughout your life and how your personal fashion style, if in any way affects your designs?
Mm. I think okay. I mean, I think at the moment it's come a little full circle to what I'd say my style is now. So I think I started with hand-me-downs, and my parents dressed me. Two of my favorite pictures of myself ever. And I'm like, I must be like maybe two or three. And one of them, I'm in this like trench coat that's like really dark blue and has accents of light blue, which turns out
Ooh.
to be a uniform for my daycare because in England, very proper, of course. And then the other one, I don't know, I look like um, is I'm wearing this puffy orange jacket and these corduroy pants, and I look like I'm wearing the same outfit as my dad. And I accidentally now have just realized that I have worn that same outfit very recently. So I think it's coming full circle. I think my dad dressed me mostly, and I don't know. It's like just then it was just like hand-me-downs and uniforms, and
Yeah.
I think, yeah, and then through, I guess through middle school or primary school. I think it was middle here. No, what's primary? Is that what's the
We have
whatever?
elementary school before middle
There you
school.
go. Elementary school. It was uniforms. I don't think I even cared. I didn't. I think I just slapped anything on, and then although again, there's this picture. I liked outfits that went together. Like I liked
Hmm.
a full set.
Yeah.
Secondary school. I don't know. Again, had to wear uniforms, but I liked wearing my brother's stuff. A lot of hand-me-downs. And like a lot of really colorful things. High school, I went through like a Tyler the Creator phase where I like exclusively wore golf, which is it is what it is. And then I think at the beginning of college it was somewhat similar, a bit hype beasty. I was friends with some interesting people at that time and was very easily influenced. And now I'd say I'm back on the like hand me down, whatever. I mean, I don't think I bought an item of clothing since the pre-pandemic. So yeah, I just kind of wear my dad's old stuff and any stuff I have laying around and other people's old shit. I'm very into like comfort, utility, and kind of looks good, but like isn't like going too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. That was extremely long-winded, but there it is.
Yeah, when you first mentioned the puffy coat and the corduroy, my brain was like, "Oh, I've definitely seen Leo wear that before." But then
Yeah.
also the school uniform. I mean, so many guys when they try to like elevate their style, what do? They like get a pea coat or an overcoat, but then they often miswear it. So the
Mm-hmm.
idea that you had that from an early age and knew how to do the matching color scheme and, dress up and dress down in a cool way, especially when puffy jackets are in, makes sense that
I
you're rocking
guess.
both worlds.
I guess. I think. I think mostly it's just like I don't know. I think I made a decision unconsciously or consciously recent or like in the last like 4 years to just like dress like my dad. I don't know. I think I don't know why, but I think I look back at a bunch of pictures of his and we're just like kind of wearing the same shit. So I'm slightly concerned, but also kind of loving it. Yeah. We'll see. I mean, I'd love to spend so much money on these gorgeous garments, but again, it's not sustainable. Like I don't have first of all, I don't have the money to drop on like to wear $5,000 outfit every day. But
Yeah.
also I just like, and this is some of my friends will laugh at this, but I don't believe in like that anymore. Like I remember I was obsessed with these Balenciaga Triple S shoes, and I bought them in freshman year of college, and I think I wore them for about 5 months. You couldn't get them off my feet, but I don't think I've put them on. I think I can count the times I've put them on since. And then I don't know, the fact that a pair of shoes are $1,000. Like I understand the fashion industry and like how and why that works, and
Yeah.
it is a business, but also I just like morally and ethically don't really agree with that anymore. So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm into like, I don't know. This is like why buy a thing like this works, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's why I like designing a lot though, because through like I can just make my own version of it, not for $5,000, which is great.
Yeah, I do not own Louboutins, but people are always talking it up, and so I do have, a mini fantasy that I developed as I walked through Nordstrom's the other day of myself as, a working woman who's an executive, and I'm making the money where I can buy myself Louboutins, but then when thinking about that fantasy, I'm like, wait a minute, I'd be so afraid to walk in them because of I'd scuff the red bottoms. And
You scuff the red, not the red bottoms. Yeah, you scuff the red bottoms.
exactly, I'd
Damn.
be so afraid.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a bit of a fine line because I don't know. There are just like there's just some really cool sh like I don't know. Let's see. If I had all the money in the world, would I be wearing all this shit? We'll find out. Um, uh, and I'll either be an absolute hypocrite or hopefully stick to my word. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I've been there. I've spent ridiculous amounts on clothes that I've worn for less than like a month. Um, so I don't know. I don't know. But I think right now my stance is just spending insane amounts on clothes just doesn't really, I don't know, can't justify it right now.
Yeah, fair. And especially at our age, where we're,
At
just
our
graduating
age,
out of college, working for ourselves.
yeah. I mean, also just like, I don't know, like having had I've had a pretty fortunate and privileged upbringing, but having, I think moving to New York was like probably the greatest thing that ever happened to me. Just like as a person. I've been through a lot of shit that kind of fucking changed my perspective on a lot. Um, and then I don't know. Then through college, like just like working, like and getting underpaid for 4 years, and then I get illegally underpaid. If you know what I'm talking about, blow it up. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, doing that, like I just have a newfound sort of appreciation for like I think money and like the reality of like how fucked up and elitist most fashion is. Like it's unbelievable. Like I don't know, a pair of if you're I don't know, like imagine like equating a pair of jeans to like 8 hours of work time. So a pair of jeans you now owe 8 hours. Like if you think about it
Yeah.
like that, at least when I think about it like that, it's just like so you're saying a pair of jeans are worth 8 hours of my time? Like holy shit. And then if you take $1,000 shoes, like the majority of the world, it takes a very long time to earn $1,000. So like like whatever. I don't know. It's just to me, it's
Yeah.
interesting that you see these people walking around in these whatever tangent over. I think a lot of this point has been made a million times over, but still, I don't know. It's frustrating, I think, a little bit. And also dividing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using the same mental calculations recently because I'm a big Club Penguin player. And every time
Oh yeah,
I want to buy something, I think of it as how many times do I have to play Aqua Grabber
there you go.
before I can pay for this?
Okay.
And so I've been using those same calculations to plan finances for the next year. It's like, okay, how many hours or days do I have to work before I can afford to pay rent or, cover my living expenses for a month? So, yeah, it's crazy when you really think about, what our
Yeah,
uh time working does.
dude. Yeah. Um. Yeah. In the fashion industry, like, what is it? It's like I think it's the second. Is it the first or second most polluting industry in the world too? I think it may be
I
it's either
think
the first or the second behind the meat
behind meat
industry.
production. Yeah, let me look
Yeah.
that up. Most
Um,
polluting industry.
but yeah, I mean, to be
It
doing
says
that,
energy. Let's see. It
I
says
guess that
what
makes
three
sense.
industries? Energy, then transport, then agriculture, then fashion industry, then food retail. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, crazy. I know I heard this year I'm a huge Aritzia fan. And I always
Oh,
knew Shein was bad. I like shopped from Shein once years ago and wasn't into it. But to hear Aritzia promotes fast fashion, oh, it breaks my heart.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough. Like how fast fashion is pretty brutal. I mean, it's just so wasteful. Um, it's cheap though to like to a certain extent, and
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of these places, like I don't know, a lot of people clown um companies for making cheap copies of like famous shit.
Yeah.
But if you take away the name and the, completely like fictional hype behind an item of clothing design, take a hoodie by like the Yeezy Gap hoodie by Kanye West, and then you take you can go and buy an old ass hoodie from Urban Jungle for like $5 for like the same, and this looks like the same pretty much. You're just
Yeah.
all you're doing is buying into Kanye West brand, or that sort of brand, and you want people to have a sort of idea with you. I think the fashion industry and social media have I think social media has just had a terrible impact on everything, but
Yeah.
on the fashion industry too. I think that's also part of the reason why you find so much of this like fad stuff. Because
Mm.
otherwise, who cares? Like no one. The whole point, like now, everyone's obsessed with everyone seeing everything you do, and like
Yeah.
you always have to update people with what you're doing and be observed and be perceived. And so you always have to have the latest, this, that, the other, so it's cool or whatever. And fashion, what you wear is huge. It is absolutely a form of expression, in my opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely feel better if I look good. If I think what I'm wearing looks good, like I do, I just feel good. Um, but yeah, I think people are just getting completely exploited for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, back there. But yeah, fast fashion is pretty brutal. I mean, I think Uniqlo actually now is also part of that category. I may be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure
Oh
Uniqlo is now
no.
part of it.
I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not surprised with like the sheer amount of stuff it has. It like definitely has to rotate its inventory often.
Mm.
But that's also pretty sad because, it gives a lot of basics. It's helpful.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I love Uniqlo. I have so much Uniqlo shit. Yeah, it's just solid. It's really solid, like long lasting clothing. But
Hmm.
I think they fell under. I think they're part of fast fashion now, which is kind of
Mm,
sad. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. But then fast fashion is like also clothes most like I have no idea here if what I'm saying is right,
yeah.
honestly. But highly I take a pretty strong guess at saying that most people are clothed by some fast fashion item.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like fast food, when places like Whole Foods and, Erewhon up try to price gouge on everyday essentials, that's when people have to turn to fast food to just feed themselves. And same goes for fashion.
Exactly. And that's also not to say that, top fashion brands are equally as wasteful. you
Hmm.
know it's they're I think extremely wasteful. you know Someone will buy, who's it, I think PJ Tucker has like the craziest shoe collection ever, and I get there is a level to this where it's like it's like kind of for the culture and history of all these shoes, and it's actually, I also find that really cool that he has this insane collection of this history of shoemaking. But also he has some of these shoes that people are spending like tens of thousands of dollars for, that he'll wear once and then just keep in his closet.
Yeah.
And I think that's, I mean, if you compare prices, like this one pair of $10,000 shoes and like how many socks from Primark or Walmart or fucking Uniqlo or H&M or wherever the fuck, like how many socks equate to that one pair of shoes, but they're both equally kind of like essentially just being tossed out and
Yeah.
wasted.
It's funny, that story reminds me of, I just read a biography on Empress Elizabeth of Austria, and it
Oh,
was a common practice in the Austro-Hungarian Empire for the empress to wear a pair of shoes once and then like give them away. And I forgot whether they'd like throw them out or like kind of gift them to a lower noble. But Empress Elizabeth was like, this is kind of dumb. Let's just keep this. And then by keeping her shoes, she could like actually break them in and be comfortable for once. But her ladies in waiting are like, what are you doing? No.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. Um, like wearing a pair of shoes once just doesn't make any sense. Um, spending spending $5,000 or how much? Hang on, what did I see? I saw a hat. I think from Prada, maybe, or maybe it was Balenciaga. I thought it was just a regular baseball hat with Balenciaga logo, not even screen printed or embroidered on. It was just like shitty heat press.
Yeah.
Um, and being sold for like $740. And then on
Dang.
this, in the garment district on the side of the street, you just have the same, like probably a little worse quality hat, like a similar baseball hat for like what, $5. Like
Yeah.
it is nuts. It just makes no sense. It's so skewed.
Yeah.
Um, completely catered to those who can afford to waste.
I've definitely passed by the gals on Canal Street in like on the verge between Soho and Chinatown, and they're selling the fake designer bags and designer watches. And I've never gotten one of those purses, but I have thought, if I want a designer purse, like I know where to go. And I know they don't have like the stitching and like the fancy, leather, but if I'm using it every day, it's gonna get dirty. So
Yeah, I mean, exactly. There's so much to it. Like, yeah, it's interesting because so many people will like make fun of people for having fake bags, which I kind of understand
mhm.
because if someone is buying a fake bag, I mean, if you're buying a fake bag and then going around saying it's real, there's just like so many levels to this. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so many levels. Like, it's just you know whatever. You could have spent the same money on a better bag, whatever. But also at the same time, if you bought one of those real bags that will wear out in the exact same time as one of those fake bags, then Loki, you're the clown because you've spent $5,000 on a duffel bag that does the same job as a $10 duffel bag on the street of Canal, like on Canal Street, So
Yeah.
I keep uh I keep telling one of my friends that one day I'm gonna go to Canal Street and get a full bust down fake outfit and just walk around with it. And mix match brands and everything and just do what everybody thinks is so wrong. Just because I think it'd be funny.
That would.
Um, yeah.
So let's move on to the next topic, which is talking about the gender balance in the design sphere. So I did the research, and here's what I came up in terms of statistics. I learned that 82.7% of fashion designers are female and 17.3% are male. The average fashion designer is 37 years old. 57.5% of those designers are white, 17.2% were Asian, 13.2% were Latino Latina, 70 or not 70, 7.5% were Black, and 5% were of other races or ethnicities. However, 86% of the top 50 brands were run by men. So I was wondering, Leo, what is the kind of fear of other designers you've worked with? Because there are statistically less male designers, have you felt underrepresented as a male designer, or maybe you haven't worried about that because of so many top brands being run by men? I'm curious what your experience has been like.
Home. That's really interesting. Okay. I think, yeah, I never really noticed actually that it's 82% female. I guess that makes sense. Or 82 point, what was that 82 point, like a
Yeah,
high seven, seven?
82.7.
Okay, I never noticed that. That's nuts. Um, but I guess it makes sense. I'm unrepresented? Absolutely not. I've never I think this is a societal thing. I don't think I've ever felt unrepresented just because of the way the world is set up at the moment, which is really
Mhm.
shitty. Um, and even when I do, I don't like it doesn't feel, I don't know. It's not impactful.
Yeah.
Really. I think let me see who I've worked with. I know one of my dear friend designs for a bunch of people. I don't know what I can or can't say. Not to be an asshole
Fair.
and mysterious. I just don't know what I yeah, I don't want
Totally
to
makes
say
sense.
anyone else's business. But yeah, most people I've worked with are male, actually, interestingly enough.
Mm,
Maybe that's just because that's the sphere of influence I've created around myself or the
mhm.
friendship. That'll be interesting to see why. Um, but yeah, no, really interesting. Also, most people I've worked with have not been white either, but I'm not surprised that any industry would be dominated by white people.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, it's pretty shitty. I don't know. I don't think me saying any of this adds to the conversation in any way. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not surprised by most of those statistics, unfortunately. Yeah, it's a pretty tough situation in fashion because it's like because it's super female gay or male gazy, right? Because you have
Yeah.
all these huge, massive female supermodels, and there's no, Lucas Sabat maybe is the only model who kind of touches any of the, I can name Kendall Jenner, what Haley Bieber, Kylie Jenner, then fucking hey, I already did Haley Bieber. Or maybe I can't name so many. No, Bella Hadid, Gigi Hadid, whatever. I'm blanking. But
Yeah.
all of these people, right? It is super. I guess if it's women designing for women, I guess that makes sense because if that's like real, I mean, I guess that's what should happen because why should a man be designing for a woman's body? Like I feel like that's immediately skewed, and you know the fact that the top 50 brands are all men
86% of the top 50 brands.
are as men.
Yeah.
That's pretty sad. That's really sad
Yeah.
because most of it is all the same shit. I mean, fucking dude, high fashion is some bullshit for real. I don't know. I'm probably not the best person equipped to say much on this stuff. It's undeniably a sexist industry.
Mhm.
I think women are completely taken advantage of in the whole industry. Um, I mean, even the top, like even the top 1% of the industry are all like. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure if Kendall Jenner is being taken advantage of. I'm sure she has been, but it is like it's fucked up because they're using all these women to make all this fucking money, and then at the same time putting them down with a lot of these designs that are completely unrealistic,
True.
completely based on social media, completely based on fad, and are modeled after the very few people who can wear these items with Photoshop, and then no one who's actually buying these items, like it never fits them, so it's like never works. um
Yeah. You brought up, I think that's all very true. I think you hit on it very well. And I think
I don't
in
know.
our past episodes, we did like hit upon the idea that like the fashion industry is all about like marketing itself towards women. And like that's why they like lean into female designs more than male designs and female models more than male models. But you like bring up a really good point on what happens when you get women designing for women versus like men designing for women. And in my research, I found this idea that one of the reasons, aside from marketing, another reason why there are just so many clothes out there being marketed towards women, is the idea that uh, women like supposedly need more clothes for different types of social events. The idea that a dress you wear at a family holiday party is not the dress you would wear at a work party, which is not the dress you would wear to the club, which is not the dress you would wear to a baby shower. Um, and so
Mm.
for that reason, I'm wondering, Leo, whereas like men, a t-shirt could be great at the club as much as it could be great at a baby shower, as much as it could be great in the park on a sunny day. So I'm wondering, Leo, uh,
Mm.
do you wish that there were more clothing options for men, or do you think that there are certain statement pieces, types of clothing that you wish uh, it were common for men to wear at certain events or functions?
Um, I wish that if I could have it my way, I think all clothes would be androgynous and wouldn't be specifically gendered.
Mm.
Um, because I don't think that's my idea of, I don't know, I'm probably contradicting myself a million times in this thing, but I think my idea of clothes is really more so like a fun art and play than it is like a sort of wear this to the club, or this is what you wear to this, or this is what you wear to
Mm-hmm.
that. And I think if you start designing for occasion, it can be really, really fun. Like if you're designing for a ball, it's awesome. But like if you have the gendered twist on it or the gendered aspect on it, which I guess everything has been up until and still is, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gets into really dangerous territory, and I think that's probably why you see those really skewed percentages. Because it becomes more of a societal thing about perception of the other sex than it does about the actual clothes. Um, yeah. So if I wished, I mean, all of my clothes, when people ask me, like, again, who do you design for? Like anyone. If you want to wear this shit and feel good in it and look good in it, then fucking do it. If you don't, okay, wear it. I don't give a shit. Like it's um yeah, like why, yeah, I don't know. I'm very It is an extremely gendered industry. And yeah, I mean, there's so many clothing options for women, but I think that's because there's the pressure on them that they should have that sort of different thing for each thing. So you can look your best for each occasion for whoever the fuck it may be, typically men. But I think I don't know, I think that's a major fault with the fashion industry, obviously. And I think that's incredibly limiting. I will say though, I think my favorite runway I've ever seen, or favorite collection I've ever seen, I think I was in Paris at some museum with my mom when she went on a business trip for something, and we were in this museum of fashion design, and I think it was Hussein, and I'm going to butcher his last name, but I think it's Chalayan or Chalayan. Anyway, he had this whole runway with clothes that were pieces of art, like they were transformative. So you'd have this
Mm.
long black dress, and then while this woman was, I'm pretty sure every single model was a woman too, which is interesting and kind of definitely male gazy, considering one dress was just like a hat with like a really wide hat with like a long, I guess, long fabric down, concealing the whole body. And the whole transformation of this dress was that this fabric came up into the hat and the woman was just revealed as like a naked figure.
Mm.
But I think it's more artistic than it is about the naked woman. Like I think it's about like because the whole runway builds up to that. And like so you have these long dresses that come up into short dresses, like one that was like black and then somehow flips inside out and goes translucent and like green and red and sparkles of blue, and then you have these insane ones that kind of glow, and then these other ones that puff out and puff in, like this sort of transformative art. I don't know where the fuck I'm going with this, but it's like, I don't know. I think that's fucking cool. And I think it was all women's clothing, I guess. And it was all women identifying runway models. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's more sort of like it's like art.
Yeah.
It's less about the woman. It's just like it's about fucking making a cool piece of clothing. But now that I'm realizing that it was all women on the runway, I'm a little I
I
have to
mean,
rethink.
all sorts of art has history in the male gaze. And of course, like, even though we're in a time period in which we're pointing that out and critiquing it, I don't think the presence of the male gaze takes away from the fact that it's meant to be transformative art.
Yeah, I mean, it is really true. Like they kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I mean, they kind of just morph into new clothes. But I wonder how impactful it would have been if it were like naked men, you know?
Yeah. I mean, thinking of naked men, well, okay, not thinking in that way, but like in art.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Michelangelo, all of his statues were naked men. So there's kind of the idea of the human body on display for the purpose of showing art. And obviously, like, Michelangelo was gay. So once again, there was the male gaze, except not necessarily the straight male gaze. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Yeah. No, yeah, I mean also very true. I'm not I have no idea of Hussein. Sure, I'm not going to go for his last name, but I have no idea of
Yeah.
his orientation on anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the point I was making was just like it is completely possible to make anything that doesn't have to be gendered. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the new direction I'm noticing we're going in. I'm seeing a lot more people wear women's clothes. I wear women's clothes. I have a pair of pants, like an old pair of my mom's pants that she doesn't wear anymore.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. I think it's like I don't know, whatever fucking looks good. And then of course, like there are body types that maybe that's what we should be designing for now is like
Yeah.
how to, like that instead of have, and we can keep that ungendered.
That leans into a
Mm.
conversation I actually had a friend earlier this week. We were talking
Ooh.
about the idea. He's like an average size, but still like considered a little bit shorter for like average men's heights. And so whereas like most male fashion is like meant for guys to be tall and broad shouldered, like most men's clothing doesn't really uh flatter him so much. And the answer, we don't really think the answer would be to like go to clothing that like shows off your figure. That's like more like feminine per se, but certainly the idea of like where can we find clothes that like specifically work with his body type and don't try to get him
Mm.
to be something genetically different.
Mm. The answer is probably somewhere. I'm sure there's so many. I think actually one of my really good friends from that I've known for a long time from high school had this, and I wonder whatever happened to it. I had this plan. Like it just seems like everything is gendered in some way or another, or it goes back to gender.
Yeah.
But anyway, they had this plan to create the first underwear brand or for trans people,
Mm,
um, which I think in that case is definitely like the gender. I think that's like vital, Like I think
yeah.
that's what you need. I think you need a brand that can make the same pair of underwear with the same design. Obviously alterations for the human form, um, and different body types, but I don't think it should promote a gender. And I think the way forward with that is just like I don't like wear what you want, and I think it's just shed that sort of societal fucking like that social media gaze that I think I'm such a social media hater, man. I'm telling you, it's like this it's like it is, and I have it, and I'm starting to use it way less now. Um, I don't really use it at all anymore, but yeah, I just think it's a great tool for some things, but it's just sick. It's like a puts ideas in people's heads that you should look one way. So it's not even a question about I want clothes that form me to look like this. It's like I want to look like that. This like piece of clothing will make me do that. I think it's more so what clothes will do for you, not like how can I stay warm? Like
Yeah.
fuck it, you know? Like why can't I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't really know.
People often buy clothes to cultivate an image rather than for the joy it brings you and you alone or utilitarianism.
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, yes. I agree.
So I think this brings us to the final portion of the podcast, which is called Convince Chad.
Oh yeah.
So imagine this. You get a call one day and it's from a filmmaker and they say, "Hello, Leo. We are making a movie about Italian films in the 1940s and we want you to design the costumes for it." And in this fantasy you're in the space of your life where you're comfortable to do this, you're ready for the call. And so you say yes. And then you come on set and you're designing clothes and it's super successful. The actors love it. And the lead actor, let's call him Giorgio because that's Italian, right?
Yeah, of course. Giorgio. Love that, sure. The diva
So
already.
so Giorgio says, "I must meet the person who designed this beautiful coat." And you're like, "That would be me." And he goes, "What? I was expecting a woman." Now is your time to explain to Giorgio that design is an outlet for everybody. It extends beyond gender and is something you enjoy.
Okay. Well, Giorgio. What does it matter if I'm a woman or a man? If you like the coat, if you never asked who the designer was, um, if you never even liked the coat, then this conversation would never be happening. Does that matter to me? No, not at all. I made this coat. It fulfilled me to make this coat. It made me happy to make this coat. The fact that now it has made you happy to wear and observe this coat, Giorgio, is a fun little thing that's happened afterwards. Um, Whether I made it, someone else made it, no one made it, and it just appeared. It doesn't matter. It's like each person, Giorgio, has their individual likes, wants, and if you like this jacket, great. Enjoy your time with the jacket. There's no need unless you want to help a struggling artist. I guess in this scenario, I'm not a struggling artist. But if you want to help an artist with some money, then you can commission a coat. But otherwise, there's no real need to have any sort of opinion on who made the jacket, especially after you've already loved the jacket. How if you take the jacket, Giorgio, and you like the jacket, Giorgio, then wear the jacket and like it.
I think Giorgio is very convinced by that. I think he's eaten his words,
I hope so. I hope so. Oh,
Well, Leo, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It was really cool to hear about your inspirations and your thoughts on fashion. So thank you so much.
thank you. Thank you. It was fun. A lot of fun.
Yes,
Learned a lot about myself.
thank you so much. And to all the listeners out there, please remember to follow the podcast on Spotify and follow on Instagram. And we'll see you next time. So bye-bye.